Welcome, Richard and Trudi. So thankful to have you guys here this morning. We're just here to catch up with you basically and talk through what's been happening, what's currently happening, and what's happening in the future. But I just want to say, first of all, for all the people who are going to listen or watch this podcast or see this video, tell us a little bit about yourself. You guys are missionaries with Emmanuel Evangelical Free Church, but tell us about who you are, where your ministry is too, and then after that, maybe talk a little bit about your process of getting to the mission field. What did that look like for you guys?
We are born and raised in Paraguay, lived in Canada for about 25 years, also 3 years in California. We come from a conservative Mennonite background in Paraguay. And during that time, we experienced difficulties, and we were able to access healing and access growth and access hope. And so as a result of that, we pursued education, trying to offer the same healing and hope and growth as we have been experiencing in our life. And so then God occasionally tapped on the shoulder if we were to want to go overseas mission, and we're busy raising our boys. But after 3 taps, very concretely over, let's say 6-7 years, then the last tap came, would you like to go to Bolivia to work among the Low German Mennonites? And so we agreed we would consider it, and we prayed about it with friends and family for a month. And after that, it was very clear that this was a God ask if we wanted to go overseas. We were not looking to go anywhere. We were quite happy here with our careers, with our families. But we've been serving in Bolivia now for 2.5 years because it was God's idea, and we think it was a good idea. There's a working stove in the background.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, and tell us a little bit about, you had mentioned just that it was God's idea, because, sometimes we misconstrue what that actually means and what that looks like. You said you had some friends kind of confirm that, and you guys made a really huge step in terms of lifestyle change. You have kids in Canada, like you made some really massive changes and steps. What do you feel like gave you the boldness to say this is what God wanted us to do during this time?
Yeah, so we each had a very established senior position in the profession. We could easily grow old here and just have a good life. Awesome church, awesome family, grandchildren on the coming. And we were quite comfortable, and we also believed that we can serve God wherever we are. Then very specifically, we were asked by 2 individuals about a week apart to go to the same place overseas to do missions work among the Low German people, because they knew us and had heard of us, that we had training and background, and that we had experience and we spoke the languages. We felt right away when those 2 taps happened on our shoulders, this is no ordinary tap. This is not just some wild idea. It felt quite profound. So it shook us. And so we asked our good family and some of our good friends, can we pray about this? And they all did. We agreed to 1 month. And then they could independently give us their findings, what the Spirit told them. They did not know of each other. We only knew them, who the designated prayer pals were. And they came back with the same profound feeling that you are not just called, you are chosen, you are prepared, you are so well equipped. The need is so big. You need to seriously consider following this God call and go out and do mission. And the first thing that a human does is, and I'll speak for myself, what about our kids? What about our finances? We had studied a little bit too long, and we still needed to, prepare for retirement. This is not a time to go overseas mission when you're trying to make sure that you have money by the time you're 65. And so it went against all human. It went against me. I'll be honest. It totally went against me. I'm not going to give up my profession. Trudi shouldn't give up her profession. We were well established. Plus, we got grandkids. Our youngest son just got married. Like, why would you not stick around and enjoy it? But there's nothing wrong with sticking around. Well, apparently God had better plans. And yeah, but then we talked to our mission, EFCCM mission, because they were running a project in Bolivia that they thought that our tapping people thought we should go and work for. And the interview process was quite unique. What they usually do, they'll interview you, and then they'll make a decision the following week. So they interview you for a couple of hours. This is after many orientations and a couple of trips to BC.
Yeah.
Then they interviewed us, and then after the interview, they say, now you go out for half an hour, we have to discuss, and then you will come back. And then in a week's time or so, we will let you know our decision. When we came back, they came out of the boardroom, and they basically said, we don't have to think about this. It's evident God is doing this, and you guys, God has tapped us on the shoulder during the interview and during the discussion, the half hour. We don't have to think about this anymore. It's all clear. And so that was a real nice confirmation. It wasn't just some wild idea. That's one part. The other part is, how is this all going to work?
Yeah.
We have a house. We found the best tenants. We were supposed to raise money. That was scary. We're going to raise money for 2 years for the project. We're not in the business of raising money. Raising money happened so fast, so smooth. Yes, with a lot of work, but it all happened so fast, so smooth.
Yeah.
And it was just another piece of evidence that this is not our idea, it's God's idea. That's why it's working so good.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the human in us, we worked really hard because we saw the mountain that we have to accomplish. But it all happened, and it happened so quickly. So we have no doubt.
Yeah.
There wasn't a sound in the clouds. There wasn't scripture in the sky.
Right.
But it was so evident in every area that you looked.
Yeah. That's cool. And I will say also from our end, me being a part of our global impact team at Emmanuel, when we were hearing of your requests to be sent as missionaries, even just the talk about supporting you guys, all that stuff, it for us seemed so clearly evident that that was the right thing to do, and that you guys were the right people to be doing the kind of ministry that you were doing. So I just wanted to just affirm that as well, because I think that it was just so very, very, very clear to us as a global impact team. A couple of things I just want to catch up on here. When Richard, when you were in a motorbike accident just a little bit earlier, our church prayed for you when we heard the news of that, and I'd love to hear just a quick status update on how you're doing. Because I'm sure many people are kind of curious as to know what the healing process has been for you, and also kind of curious to know. I know there's been a lot of complications with the actual status or the paperwork when it comes to Casa Mariposa. Some of that's been in backlog. So maybe give us a status report on those two things.
Well, to verify.
Oh, there's the scars.
There are big scars here. Let me say it this way. I will never be the same physically, but I can easily grow old this way. So I'm all happy. I can use my hands without pain. By the removal of the hardware, I had hardware in both wrists and in my shoulder. They damaged a nerve, so the sensation in my hand is let's say about 50%. It was about 0% a couple of months ago, but they say that's all going to heal, so we're all good.
Okay.
I just don't want to repeat it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Casa Mariposa. Esther Ministries is the designated project that we were supposed to go to and serve as directors. Casa Mariposa is the girls' shelter within the project. The girls' shelter was supposed to be registered, was anticipated by the people that were working with the registration about a week or two later once we would arrive in April of 2018. Then it didn't, and so I was then working with the registration together with a board, together with a lawyer. 2.5 years later now, Next month, Casa Mariposa will be closed for 6 years consecutively. So 4 different couples, including us, have worked with registration over 6 years unsuccessfully. It's still closed. So that's the current status of Casa Mariposa. The need is there. The facilities are awesome and ready to use. We are using the facilities for classes, and we're also using the facilities for counseling.
Yeah, and thank you for that update, by the way, on both of those things. I know, like, just because Casa Mariposa, in terms of the paperwork, has been installed, it definitely hasn't mean that you guys as ministers haven't been really busy. Every time we hear your reports, you guys are doing lots and lots and lots of stuff. So maybe dive a little bit deeper into, you had mentioned that you're doing classes out of there. Like, what are those classes? What do they look like? You had mentioned that it's a women's shelter. What's the bigger vision going forward for that? Even like, what's your hope in terms of ministering to women in that place, being a shelter for them? What does that mean?
Okay, so a couple of months into the registration process, or when we were in Bolivia, we discovered that you can only clean the facility so often. We had done a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
And regular maintenance needs to happen. But then we were constantly asked by pastors, community members, fellow missionaries, if we wouldn't mind seeing a family or counseling a person, because they knew we had that background. And we were reluctant initially because, we were going to run Casa Mariposa. That was why we were sent there. Mm-hmm. But we kept talking to our fellow missionaries about it, prayed about it, talked to our mission about it. And it was agreed that we are allowed to, and we welcomed it very much. We were allowed to see people like as reaching out. And so once we started reaching out, or once we started opening that door, it developed into a full-time counseling services, because that's what we are trained to do. We have a passion for that. The need is huge, just like a children's shelter, but yeah, there aren't resources with the kind of training or language ability. So we're actually, with the way we see it, we have great opportunity in Bolivia with psychotherapy counseling. So we developed a counseling program. Then we were accessed by community members that had gotten to know us, and we were going to teach Bible-based courses. And we thought, wow, that's interesting. But yeah, another fantastic opportunity. We asked, why us? And they had gotten to know us in such a way as to very Bible-based, not so much a traditional theology, but more so a Bible theology. And the wisdom in God, he had sent us to a biblical seminary to get our graduate training. And we were very Bible trained, of course. And that's what we stand for, is the truth. Anyway, we're teaching Bible courses, and we're also doing presentations or workshops in churches, at seminars, based all on people that got to know us, they want to hear. There's a great hunger for psychosocial information. In North America, we sort of know how relationships work. We've all heard about communication skills. We've heard about domestic violence. We've heard about CFS, child abuse, what's wrong, what's right. Some of those traditional cultures, they haven't had access to that good, healthy information. And so whenever we speak, it need only be basic. They just very, very much welcome it. And we can see what positive impact that has. So it's another great opportunity that we've went to do. So it's kept us really, really busy. Yes, we're still in care of the facilities. We have 5 rental units that we rent out. These are houses. We still do maintenance. We have a little cow pasture with a couple of cattle. We have a garden. We have 1 worker full-time that does the landscaping and cutting grass and flowers. We're busy with a huge variety.
Yeah. Can you describe a little bit the, I guess, the problem in some ways that you're trying to address? And I don't mean to speak negatively on some of the sort of old order Mennonite colonies that you're near, but you do have some dealings with maybe some of the women coming off of these colonies that have experienced abuse in different ways. Can you maybe speak to some of the problem in terms of that regard, and how you guys are working to help address, or even just help some of these women heal?
Uh, Worldwide, experts say there's about 1 in 4 women sexually abused
Mm,
and 1 in 7 boys worldwide. In Bolivia, I argue that it's quite a bit higher.
mm,
That's one problem. The second problem is the access to professional, very helpful resources is much less.
mm,
And so it's a synergy of that combination of higher frequency of abuse, less resources, making it very, very complicated and difficult for victims. And so the other thing, and the good thing in Bolivia, it's not as taboo to go to see a counselor. People gladly come. They are willing to come. They don't talk negatively. Oh, Mrs. So and so is going to counseling. That's not. It's a better flavor. It's a healthier flavor. So that is really nice for us to see. And so yeah, we deal a lot of abuse trauma, and
mm,
not just sexually, religious, spiritual oppression,
mhm,
physical abuse, psychological, emotional abuse. Uh, Living in a very legalistic context causes a lot of negative oppressive energy on any adult. I'm never good enough. I'm not sure if I'll ever make it to heaven. I can hardly keep up with all the laws that the elders are giving us. I have to really talk negative about myself. Otherwise, I'm seen as proud in the community. Adds so much negativity to an adult individual that he'll collapse to drinking or abusing a minor. And why? Because it's too much. And he or she was abused as well. So it's just a repetitive cycle. There are a lot of functioning families, of course, wonderful families that we've gotten to know. But unfortunately, there's many, many others. And the resources are not enough.
mhm,
We feel that God has really prepared us to be effective in His work that He's doing there. And, quite frankly, God was there way before we went there, and He's there in all areas. But the areas that He's showing us is in the area of counseling, that's our background, uh, psychosocial education, Bible-based teaching. We have a fine curriculum. I don't even have to prepare much. It's just a matter of teaching it, motivating them,
mm.
empowering them, and affirming. And how many times do you need to hear that you can know that you're saved and that their grace is big enough if you've always heard the opposite? So there is a place for us to be there, absolutely.
Um, let's take maybe a bigger view here for a moment, and tell me a little bit about, where do you guys feel like you're going? What's the sort of bigger vision that you feel like you're heading towards? Describe to us, what is and what is your guys' sort of maybe long-term mentality? I'm not sure how long you're planning to be there, total kind of thing. So I don't know if missionaries necessarily ever do know that, but like, what's the bigger vision that you're hoping to be working towards?
Basically, with our mission, it's kind of like 2.5 year terms.
Mm,
And then the mission is encouraging us to come back for home assignment and report back, a bit of orientation and a bit of connecting with family and friends, and then head out again. So we take 2 year chunks that we bite off.
mhm,
I have no doubt that we could grow old and retire in Bolivia and we would always have enough work. I
mm,
have no doubt. But then again, also God is so generous in showing us those opportunities. And
mm,
yeah, people are willing to have help. We have committed to another 2 years. We have committed to another 2 years. The decision wasn't made just by us. We have a 6 household, and again, they don't know of each other, that help us make decisions very carefully so that it's not emotional. Because on any given day, we can move back to Canada because we have family and kids and grandkids here. So we can't make those decisions by emotions. We have to make those decisions very carefully, together with our mission, together with our supporters, and together with our prayer pals. So we'll be going back for another 2 years, and it will be just community outreach. It will not be directors of Esther Ministries, including Casa Mariposa, a previous missionary that has actually built the facilities and operated it. He or the couple will take over that aspect of it. So I won't have to do maintenance. We won't have to do cleaning. We will now focus just on people. And to us, that's very exciting.
That's cool. Tell us just, I love to get behind people who are passionate and on mission. Tell us a little bit about where your biggest needs are. And that could be anywhere from just prayer to finances, but where are your biggest needs? How can we here in Canada get behind the efforts that you're doing?
I think you and our partners here in Canada have done a fantastic job. So often we are being contacted, we're praying for you. Now that we're meeting with people that have sponsored and supported us financially or in prayer, they will say, we pray for you regularly. That's good stuff. We are on front lines. There are two superpowers in this world, and we happen to be with the God one, but the other one is very evident in Bolivia as well. Satan is happy to destroy families and create havoc in church. Right now, our number one need is we need to get enough financial support to convince our mission that we can go out for another 2 years. We feel it's quite possible. We're probably there 2/3 of the way. It was not an issue last time. There's a bit of a shift in what we're going to do. Last time we went out specifically for a women and girl shelter. Now we're going to go out to reach out to community suffering families, and also psychosocial education, biblical teachings. And also we'd like to focus a bit more on evangelism, which there's an opportunity. So our biggest need right now is for people to ask God, should I contribute financially to this project? It's not for Rich and Trudi, it's for the project of reaching out to hurting and needing people.
And that's right on. I always tell people that, and I would ask anyone watching this video or listening to this podcast that we fully stand behind you guys in what you're doing. And it's not just sort of turning over money. It's not like paying a paycheck to someone. It's really an investment into the bigger work that God is doing through you guys and in a certain area of the world. And so I would just fully ask anyone to consider joining your team in that way, and consider joining you and getting behind you guys as investors. Really is what it's at. Here's an off the wall question. I'm just curious to know for you guys, what does a win look like for you? Like, what does it come down to? How do you know when you've done the thing that you've trying to do in your ministry? You can sort of, pop the cork and celebrate a little bit. Like, what does an actual win look like for you?
We got to see those regularly, so that's an easy one. I'm glad it's an easy one. Our win is quite simple. We get very, very broken people in our counseling sessions. And when they start seeing hope, when a person has no hope, that is just very sad. When a person comes to counseling, and they have, let's say, lots of issues to work on, but when they start seeing hope and they're committed to growth, and you know what, Scott, it's amazing. We talked the other day about basically 100% of our clients are actually so-called Christians or Christian wannabes. They're just broken and falling apart and are not quite sure, insecure, don't have assurance of salvation, and they come with baggage like some of us do, right? When that baggage starts peeling away, and they come and they smile, or they graduate. We have clients that graduate. They're just so happy they got to know us. They'll refer other people. And next time we see them in church or in a community somewhere, they're just different. They've got hope. They are smiling. They've overcome the obstacles. You see them reaching out for themselves. They connect with their inner selves. Yeah, it's very evident. We talked about God doing miracles at our Bible study group, and there were people struggling with God doesn't do miracles these days anymore. We were shocked because we see that all the time. We see God active at work in the counseling room. Our counseling room, when I introduce it to tourists, I always say this is a very sacred room, because it really is. That's where God is actively at work. That's where we see miracles. We get to walk away with knowing God is healing a person.
Mm.
And that is very, very rewarding.
That is awesome. That's awesome to hear.
Or when we teach our Bible study courses, and the people discover the true concept of God, and true love and true grace, not legalistic, not opinionated, not political. And you walk away and you see how they caught on to, and they're just hungry for more. And the Bible taught them that. All we have to do is just facilitate it. We're just facilitators anyway.
My last question would be this to you guys. If there was anything that you wish a Canadian Steinbacher in our context would know or would hear about what you do or what you've seen, what would sort of be your most important message to us? What would be whether it be an encouragement, maybe even a challenge? What would be your most important message to us here?
Kingdom opportunities and get involved. Okay. Our kingdom opportunity right now happens to be in Bolivia, but wherever you are as a Christian, if we just are a little bit flexible and a little bit creative, God is pointing out opportunities for us wherever we are to reach out, to be an example, to lift somebody up, to be encouragement to somebody. It is insufficient to know God information-wise. We need to experience God doing for God. The Hebrew word for knowing God is information about God, is experiencing God personally, and is doing for God. The doing for God, that is very profound. And we have been thrown right in the borscht of that, and we're very privileged. So I would encourage people, throw yourself right into it. Find an area where you feel led to reach out with your unique skills and do it, and see what God does with that. And see what God is doing with it already, and how you can partner with God and get the biggest blessing out of it. Never mind the people that you're serving. Yeah, that's the real McCoy.
Cool. Well, thank you for that. If someone wanted to access more information about you, or maybe even sign up for regular updates, or just even to send some financial support your way, how would they do that? Where are some ways to get in touch with you or to make those next steps?
So per email, it's Richard Trudi with an I @gmail.com.
Okay, cool.
Our phone numbers change regularly because we're up and we're moving back and forth, but that's probably the safest way. Pop an email. We'd love to add you to our email subscription, forward you information about us, forward information about how you can partner. But the question to you, Scott, is there any way we can connect some of that information on how to partner, let's say specifically financially, to a webpage or to a podcast, knowing?
Yeah, and you know what? Wherever we post these videos, just so everyone knows, we will also provide links or information to where they can acquire more information. And I'll say, just alongside of what you guys, for any of Emmanuel's people out there, if at any point in time you're ever looking for more information about how to get behind or want to connect with the Harders, you can always email us at global.impact@eefc.ca, or you can always reach out to me personally at scott.marble@eefc.ca, or you can always go to our website at eefc.ca. Any of those, you'll be able to get in contact with our Global Impact team and with me personally, and I can always connect people to you guys as well. It's my privilege to be able to do that. So, well, I just want to, I'm sure we could sit here and talk all day long, literally, about your ministry and what God is doing through you in your area of the world. And but we only have so much bandwidth here on the internet to use. So I just want to say thank you so much for your time. You guys are on home assignment for the next little while. Tell us how much you'll be around, and maybe if someone wanted to contact you or just to catch up with you, what does that look like right now for you guys?
We are seeing people on a daily basis. We are very willing to travel to people's homes, meet in coffee shops, wherever they feel comfortable to meet with them. If anybody has time during the day, that works better because there's only so many evenings a week and they're always filled. Short of it is, we'll gladly come over and share and talk and connect with anybody. Can call us, email us, and that's what we want to do till about shortly after Christmas.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much. And yeah, thanks again, you guys, for your time. And we will continue to pray for you. And yeah, we'll see you guys later.